We are reading Macbeth Act 3 Scene 2 here. Already we have seen that Macbeth has made a plan with the two murderers to kill Banquo. Now let's see what Lady Macbeth is doing at this moment. So at this moment we have Lady Macbeth in the room along with the servant. Lady Macbeth says, "Is Banquo gone from the court?" Servant says, "Aye, madam, but returns again tonight." Lady Macbeth says, "Say to the king I would attend his leisure for a few words." Servant says, "Madam, I will." So Lady Macbeth first inquires whether Macbeth is there, Banquo is there or he has left, and when she is confirmed that Banquo has left, she calls for Macbeth. Remember, she does not know that Macbeth has made a plan to kill Banquo. Okay, so Lady Macbeth's next speech is little bit important, so you will underline. Nought's had, all's spent. That means nothing has been achieved and everything spent. The Lady Macbeth, who was so confident about the murder, who thought that the murder will be a complete success, she had no scruple, no doubt at all. That same woman is now saying that we had to spend everything we have. What is everything? Their peace, their happiness, their comfort, everything has been taken away from them, and what they have achieved? Nothing. Where our desire is got without content. That means we have achieved what we desired, but we are not satisfied with it. It is safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. The last part is an alliteration using D sound. She says that it is safer to be Duncan. Whom we destroy means Duncan. So it is safer to die like Duncan than to be living like us under so much tension and so much pressure. So it is better to die than to think so much about making our positions secure. Finally, Macbeth comes to the stage and Lady Macbeth says, "How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone? Of sorriest fancies your companions making?" What happened, my lord? Why are you keeping alone, and why are you so upset? It seems that your mind is filled with sorriest fantasies. That means fancies, sorry. That means very sad thoughts. Using those thoughts which should indeed have died with them, they think on. You see the level of Lady Macbeth's hypocrisy. She knows that from inside she is suffering from guilt, but she will not show that guilt to her husband because she wants to make her husband strong. She wants to save her husband from that same guilt which she is suffering from. So as a very good husband, as a very strong wife, she is trying her best to drive away the sadness from the face of her husband. Again you underline, things without all remedy should be without regard. This means that when you cannot do anything about a situation, don't bother about it, because you cannot do. So if you cannot do, why bother yourself and be upset? What is done is done. What has been done, murder is committed. Now you cannot undo it, so forget it. Macbeth's speech is very, very, very important. So underline, we have scorched the snake, not killed it. She will close and be herself, whilst our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. So we have just injured the snake. He is using a snake metaphor here. He says that we have just injured the snake, not completely killed it. Very soon the snake will recover and it will coil around us. That means it will trap us in its attempts. And after the snake achieves its poisonous teeth, it will once again bite Macbeth. Why is he saying this? Because Banquo is still alive. Killing the snake will be killing Banquo and Duncan both. Now he has just injured the snake. That means the work is half done. Only Duncan is killed. By killing Banquo also, he will be perfectly safe and secure. That is what he thinks. But let the frame of things disjoint, both the world suffer ere we eat our meal in fear and sleep. He says, I am so fed up of everything. I am so fed up of this worry and tension that let everything get destroyed. Let the whole framework of things, the planets which are moving in a particular framework on a particular orbit, let everything get broken, everything get destroyed before we have to survive under such a tension and pressure. So on one hand, Lady Macbeth wants to die like Duncan. She thinks that Duncan is better that he has died. And what Macbeth is telling, almost a very similar thing. He thinks it is better to get destroyed. It is better that the whole world gets destroyed before our life becomes so heavy with tension, anxiety and pressure. When we will have to eat our food under constant threat, we will have to sleep under constant fear. Ere we will eat our meal in fear and sleep, in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. So always we are having these scary dreams that break our sleep, that shake us up from our sleep. Better be with the dead, whom we to gain our peace have sent to peace. So he is jealous of Duncan. He thinks that Duncan is now safe and secure. Once a person dies, you cannot harm that person, right? So Macbeth is jealous of Duncan. He says that I hope even we were like Duncan, we were also dead, so that no tension, no worry, no anxiety could have harmed us. Because we have sent Duncan to peace and we have lost our own peace. Than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. So always to think about the murder, always to think about the guilt is a big torture, is a big pain. I don't want to survive under such a pain. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. So Duncan has gone to his grave. As I told, he is jealous of Duncan. Duncan's fever is over. Life is like a fever. You have studied Ode to Nightingale. Keats has said life is full of weariness, fever and fret. So for Duncan also, for any human being, life is full of difficulties, challenges like fevers. But that fever is over. That difficulty is now over. And now Duncan has gone to sleep peacefully. No fever, no difficulty can wake him up. Treason has done his worst. Nor steel nor poison, malice, domestic, foreign levy, nothing can touch him further. So the worst has already been done to Duncan. Now you can neither kill him with steel weapons, nor you can poison him to death, nor somebody can have a civil war or any foreign attack that can destroy the life of Duncan. So Duncan is in peace, he is saved forever. Lady Macbeth says, "Come on, gentle my lord, sleek over your rugged looks, be bright and jovial among your guests tonight." Lady Macbeth is nervous. If Macbeth is going to be so tensed and so worried, what will happen to the dinner party they are throwing that evening? So she says that please smooth your looks, please make yourself normal, otherwise the party will be spoilt in the evening. Macbeth says, so shall I love, and so I pray be you, let your remembrance apply to Banquo. He says that, okay, I will try to be normal and I request you to be normal. And I have another request, that is, pay extra attention to Banquo. See, he is playing a game with Lady Macbeth. The same woman who had given everything that she had to support her husband to make him the king, now Macbeth is hiding about the plan of killing Banquo to Lady Macbeth. She is not a confidant anymore. She is not enjoying his confidence anymore. That is why Macbeth simply lies to Lady Macbeth, telling, pay extra attention to Banquo, knowing very well that Banquo will never return for the banquet. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue. Give Banquo importance with your eyes, that means with your looks, as well as with your words. Unsafe while that we must have our honors in these flattering streams, and make our faces wizards to our hearts, disguising what we are. So we should always try to maintain this flattery in front of everyone. We should try to flatter with everyone. We should be sweet, polite with everyone until and unless we have secured our position. Till then, our faces will be false. It will be like a false mask. We will be hiding our real intention behind the mask. Remember, already Lady Macbeth had said that be a flower from the front and the snake behind the flower. Your mind should be like the snake behind the flower, always ready to attack. Lady Macbeth says, "You must leave this. Don't worry about it. Don't bother much about it. Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo and his fleance lives." So Macbeth reveals this much, that he is worried about Banquo and fleance. Till Banquo and fleance are alive, he is worried. And Lady Macbeth says, "In them nature's copy is not eternal." But nature has not given eternal life to Banquo and fleance. What she is trying to say, that try to do something to finish them off. But Macbeth is not telling her that already he has done something to finish them off. Macbeth says, "There is comfort yet." Yes, that is a satisfaction, that their life is not permanent. They are assailable, they can be killed. "Then be thou jocund, ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summon that shard-born beetle with his drowsy hum hath rung night's a yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note." In simple language, Macbeth is telling Lady Macbeth that something terrible is going to happen before today night. And to describe night, he says night is the time when bats start flowing to their caves, when Hecate, the god of the witches, calls the other witches to celebrate their prayer, and when the beetle starts singing. Beetle is a kind of insect. It starts making its noise. So these are the symbols of night. In simple language, he is telling that before night something terrible is going to happen. Lady Macbeth is saying, "What is to be done? What are you doing?" But Macbeth doesn't tell that. He says, "Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. So wait and watch. After I have completed the job, then I will tell you. And then you can give me a good round of applause. Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day." Remember, Lady Macbeth had once said, "Come night, darkest smoke of hell, and cover up the sky so that the gods cannot see my evil intentions from heaven." Similarly, Macbeth is also invoking the night, calling the night. I told you the night atmosphere is very important in Macbeth. So the Macbeth is calling for the night, and he says that let everything be covered under the darkness of night, so that the eye of the day, that is sun, cannot see what kind of plans we have in our mind. And with bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Try to end all those anxieties that are keeping me sad. Try to finish off all those threats that are making me pale. Light thickens and the crow makes wings to the rooky wood. Already it's evening, so he sees that the light is thickening, it's darkening, and the crow is returning to the forest. Good things of the day begin to drop and drowse, whilst night's black agents to their praise do rouse. The positive thing, the day is a positive time, good time, so good things of the day are ending, and at this moment the bad things, the evil creatures of the night are coming out to do their evil activities. Thou marvelest at my words, but hold thee still, you are wondering, you are marveling means you are wondering what I am telling, but just wait and watch what I am doing. The last two lines are important, underline. Things bad begun must strong themselves by ill, so prithee go with me. He says that things which have started in a bad way should do evil things to continue. That means once I have started doing something bad, I will have to continue walking in that evil path. So please, I pray to you, be with me, support me, help me.